Hello everyone, and welcome to a game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from PB Aberov Geo 1976, or well, we'll call him George. Now George is in the Minotaur. It's on the map Trap in a 3-point domination game. So obviously a tier 10 battle, but a few tier 9s and tier 8s around, and the friend is just lost at Donskoy.
Torpedoes to port.
Now the enemy team has 3 raiders with 3 cruisers, isn't that lovely? And it looks like there's going to be a major fight here at the A-cap. So we had a Donskoy taking the lead in the friendly side. You should never just take a cruiser out into the open and just charge a cap. That's not going to work well. Now, George here was detected here briefly, but the gearing is providing a smokescreen for him, which is good because it means he has to slow down less. Basically a lot easier to hide like this than with his own smokescreen. So that's nice. Now we have the Chambard also pushing in here. We have a Shimakaze who has already pushed in far too much in some... Well, I don't know, maybe he can make it work behind this island. Now there is an enemy Donskoy, so there is some radar around. Although it's so far enough away that George is safe. The Shimakaze on the other... Well, I mean, the Shimakaze is just a position where he probably can't get shot. But this is basically kind of an insane start, because it's not just the enemy team that's aggressively pushing here, it's the... Well, it's both teams that are aggressively pushing here. Like, we have 2 Chambards in here, and I'm not sure why the friendly Chambard is not slowing down or anything. He's maybe at this point he decides to ram. Now there are 2 enemy destroyers in here with torpedoes, which is something to certainly keep in mind. Now George is trying to get one of them. And I mean, as a Minotaur you can burn down destroyers fairly quickly. If they are at a reasonable range, I suppose. I mean, as soon as this Akizuki starts maneuvering and sailing away. And I think I would have kept shooting that guy. I mean, yes, once they actually try to actively avoid your shells, it gets a lot harder to hit them. Because the Minotaur, well, you have just too much shell travel time, but I would have tried to get some more damage into this destroyer. I was thinking those guys will be very important. Now the friendly Shimakaze, it looks like, oh, he got rushed by a Donskoy and he managed to take out the Donskoy. It's just insanity anyway. Now, thanks to the gearing smokescreen earlier, our Minotaur still has her own smoke and might just be very much needed soon. He's trying to get behind this smoke again so that he doesn't have to use his own. With the Donskoy gone, that means he has to no longer fear radar, which makes this a lot more comfortable in a way. Oh, and there are torps and there is the carrier and, well, not quite much. And he's deploying his own smoke screen. I mean, he has been playing with fire here in a way the whole time, because he is very much at the front and he has been spotted when only briefly a few times already. Now this Chambard is coming really close. If he fires in his smoke here, he will be detected, so he's trying to torp instead, but it looks like it's not necessarily a Chambard, he's getting torped by someone else anyway. And the Chambard has lost his front. This Chambard is basically defended. I mean, he's still a secondary. That's amusing. Okay, so what's left here? What's left here are 2 destroyers and a Yamato. This has been absolute carnage in this cat. That has been a joy to watch, I think. But now we have a Yamato left. Now Minotaur is safely tucked inside the smokescreen, but the torps will be ready a little bit before the smoke disappears. There won't just be enough time for the torps to actually travel towards the Yamato. There's also the possibility of enemy torpedoes coming towards the smoke screen. So those are a bit bad news. What he could do is he could try to turn his ship around inside his own smoke and get the torps off from the other flank. I might just try that. Now there is still a friendly Missouri, by the way. So yeah, I think personally I would have just like gone like left the smoke screen on the side where the Yamato is not, and then turned the ship away and got torps off from the other side, and hoping that you can get this Yamato down a lot quicker, because right now it's not looking good. This Yamato will spot him, and we all know what happens to poor Minotaurs out in the open. Now on the bright side, the Yamato's gun traverse is utterly horrible. So if the Yamato decides to shoot Georgia, it will still take him a while to turn those guns. And there were just some nice torpedoes, which means the Yamato is... yeah, it's getting lower. Also, I think I would aim a little bit higher there. So, I think the Yamato is trying to turn his guns, and what George is doing now is he's kind of, I think, trying to outrun the turrets. Basically, he's not just pushing in the Yamato for fans and kills, he's just trying to, and he can't outrun those guns, but... the Yamato missed? Just... So... So yeah, basically if he was trying to run away, the Yamato would have turned the guns towards him a lot faster. And it's not like you can really bounce Yamato shells. It's also that the... well, I mean, it doesn't matter because of the overmatch. But the Minotaur has a flat rear anyway, so your rear is not going to bounce any... But, I mean, it doesn't matter if Yamato shells, they're big enough that they overmatch anyway. So, this worked surprisingly well. Now, can I get the set before it escapes? Unfortunately not. So, the friendlies are going to grab this cap here. Unfortunately, the enemy has the other caps. And while there are still some friendly ships in the north... oh, this is going to go wrong, isn't it? Oh well. Wasn't too bad, damage-wise, I suppose. The enemy team yeah, this is not looking so. The enemy basically controls the map. There's still a Thunderer in the north, and the Lexington is completely cut off. Like if the set, for example, goes for... well, I mean, maybe the carrier can sink the set. We don't know how healthy he is too. But let's just say it's not looking great. Now, Minotaur here has to decide where he wants to go. There is an Alaska fairly close. There is the chance that he's getting raided if he were to smoke up anywhere here. And if he just sails out into the open, he will have to dodge Arsa's shells. And a Minotaur is very, very easy to citadel. Let's just be honest about that. Now it looks like George has found a new target, and it's the Graf Zeppelin, so he's just going to reverse around this corner here and help this guy. And he can do so while staying safe from the Arsas, and probably also safe from the Alaska, so that's good news. Which means he can just sit here, ignore the raider, and get some nice shells off, and then after the raider he can move out and maybe even use his smoke to and yet the destroyer was detected there briefly. He tried to see if he can get some shots off. Unfortunately, the answer is no. But at least they are getting the Graf Zeppelin. Not the best positioning for an enemy carrier. I know, like, the Graf Zeppelin has some very strong secondaries, but sometimes people get a little bit overly confident in that and think that the place is suddenly at the front lines. And considering that the enemy team was in the lead, there was no need for desperate measures on the enemy carrier. Georgia will soon have shots at the Alaska. He could just smoke up here, and... why is he not? Honestly, he could have just smoked up here and fired at the Alaska, I think. Thunderer is providing some spotting.
Torpedoes direct front.
And those torpedoes don't look good for the Thunderer. So, I mean, honestly, he could have just like gone forward and through this gap if he wanted to, but I think his position wasn't too bad. He was outside of the radar range, the Alaska was spotted, he could have just smoked up and tried farming the Alaska a little bit. But he's managed to get himself unstuck here and is now moving towards the B cap. The problem is well, I mean, on the bright side, you know, the Alaska is the only ship left with some serious gunpower. While, I mean, as said, if the set gets a broadside, that can hurt quite a bit too. The Alaska is quite a bit more problematic to deal with. Now, while there's still a smoke left, and he's trying to smoke here, I mean, is the Alaska's radar still on cooldown? I mean, it's also possible at this point in the game that the Alaska is out of radar charges, but I'm not sure what this radar is going to do. I mean, the only way he gets some spotting is if the carrier shows up, which may or may not happen. And now he's just a sitting duck here. The enemy knows exactly where he is because of the smoke. But it looks like the radar is actually on cooldown, or the Alaska is out of radar charges. And this means this is actually going to work, because now the carrier is here with some spotting, and the Alaska is even broadside. I mean, I assume the Alaska decided to go behind this island to avoid torpedoes or something, but you never want to be broadside towards the Minotaur.
Torpedoes to starboard.
And well, torpedoes coming for the smoke. Rather expectedly, Alaska is even beached. So the Alaska is trying to blind fire and holy! So the Alaska blind fired into this smoke and just nearly deleted our Minotaur here. But you know, nearly isn't good enough. Minotaur heal is going, the torpedoes are going to get dodged, and oh, next blind fire. Yeah, that Alaska is pretty much a nightmare here. But the Alaska is gone. Now, if that Alaska hadn't shown so much broadside, then it would have ended probably a lot differently. Now, the only thing that's left is 2 enemy destroyers. The problem is, you know, the friendlies are lacking caps. Now, the Lexington is going for the C cap, which is amazing, because that might just be very much needed. There is still like 5 minutes left, so we probably need the Thunderer to go B, Lexington to go C. I'm not exactly sure. I feel like the Thunderer could have positioned himself a little bit better earlier. And yeah, there are 2 destroyers here. Unfortunately, Hydro is no longer running, and there is the enemy Hydro. So why is George not going through this little channel here? Probably because he's expecting torpedoes. So I think he's going to turn around there and then just enter the cap the way he left it. He really needs to do something, because he's the only one who can defend A, and they really can't afford to just end up. And look, there are torps coming through here.
The enemy is about to win.
He should be dodging those. Now the carrier will send planes here, and they are almost here. And that spotting might prove to be crucial. Now there was a smoke screen over there that's just dispersing, so at least one of those destroyers is out of a smoke screen right now. And that means he's easy spotted and should be easily dealt with. There you go. And that leaves the other set. Now, unfortunately, there is 3.5 minutes left, and the enemy still has a major points lead. The Thunderer has decided not to go into B through this channel or so, but to just say like this. And once again, it looks like George is trying to throw off the torp launches there. Oh my god, is he going to get hit? Come on, you can dodge, you can. And I assume he's expecting torps through this gap again, so he doesn't want to go through. I mean, he's hydroed, so the enemy knows exactly where he is. The problem is, there goes his hydro, and he was right, there are torps coming this way. The problem is he doesn't really have the time to play cat and mouse with this set for too long. Because time is not really in the enemy's favor. Then again, there is the carrier, and the carrier is sending new planes. So if he is waiting for those planes to arrive. It will give him the advantage, because he will have some more additional spotting. But if he waits too long like this, that might just be too far away. But the carrier can easily catch up with the set, a Minotaur, well, not as easily, I suppose. So honestly, I think he's wasting a bit too much time here. He should have been inside a while ago. But I mean, at the bright side, his Hydro is running and the set has no idea on which side he will go around here. And the carrier is almost here.
All stations proceed and capture that area.
And there are some blind torps from the enemy set. And it looks like the set is still inside here. Also, it looks like there was a smoke stream. I mean, with the Hydro, that's not really mattering much, but we just saw a smoke disperse here, so that means the set is out of smoke and the planes are here. So they have a nice window of opportunity to take down this guy before he can smoke again. And, well, it's 1.5 minutes. The only way the friendlies are going to win is if they take down this destroyer. So what we need now is the carrier to simply spot. I mean, that's a full squadron. He can drop a little bit, but he can't like use all of his planes. We need him to spot this guy so that the Minotaur can finish him off. Because if that set manages to drop into concealment again, it's all over, basically. But, you know, a Minotaur is very good at just farming destroyers, although it's a bit harder if those destroyers won't cooperate and are just trying to dodge and sail away. Also, there is currently no Hydro run. There is no more Hydro anyway, which gives the set technically an opportunity to torp, but well, we saw torps earlier, but the set torps reload rather quickly. 30 seconds left, so the set decides. I mean, the set is basically against the zone war. He doesn't want to go zone war surfing, so he goes for a broadside, which makes him easier to hit for the Minotaur, and there's the win. And here we are with the results. Church earned himself 2,757 base experience. And overall it was lovely done. I felt like he could have been a little bit more careful in the beginning and a little bit more aggressive in the end. But it all worked out quite nicely. So yeah, achieved the Confederate, the Dreadnought and the Kraken, scoring almost 180,000 points of damage. And you know, I pretty much enjoyed that nice brawl there in the beginning and the nice close ending. So I hope you enjoyed watching it too, and I'll see you guys next time.